the Warhipster here, coming at you with another Contrast Plus painting tutorial, and today we are painting the all-new Space Wolves. Yes, we are returning to the route, so I'm very excited to paint these guys up. We have a bit of a Space Wolves army, and, well, we're going to jump in and start painting him in just a second, but he has been sent to me early as part of the Space Wolves army set by Games Workshop to make some content for you guys early, to build up and paint with all of you, and that is exactly what we are going to be doing. So, he's been primed in Grace here, and the colour we're going to be using first is Space Wolves Grey, and we're going to be applying this over top of all of our Space Wolves armour. Now, we're not going to be leaving it this colour, because it's not quite right, because Space Wolves Grey is perfectly fine, but it's not quite the bluish grey that we're after, that the Space Wolves have. As you can see, it's just very, very cold and unforgiving. So we're going to be applying this all over, like so. And then once this is all done, we'll come back. So with that Space Wolves Grey all applied, what we then want to do is we want to take some Tyran Blue. And we don't want very much of this. And we're going to apply this over the top. And this is just going to add that kind of slightly warmer blue into the model. However, don't worry. If it's a bit splotchy in some places, I'm going to show you how to fix it a little bit later on. So with that all done, we're now going to move on to the rest of the colours before we come back and fix the armour if we need to, which in my case I definitely do. But the next colour is going to be some Black Legion, and we're going to be applying this over the top of, well, a couple of different details. So firstly, what we have is we have the casings of any pistols and stuff, if that's what you've built, and we have this kind of housing just here on the Thunder Hammer to paint with the Black Legion. We're also going to apply the Black Legion over the top of any of the soft joints in the armour, and we're going to apply it over the top of the field and the inside of the shield. So with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to work on the two large pelts here, here and here, and coming down the back here. And I will point out that with the Black Legion we also coloured in the talons of the pelt and the main, well, it's kind of a cummerbund, but it's not really. Anyway, two colours we're going to be using are Skeleton Horde and Cygor Brown. And we're going to be starting with some Skeleton Horde, and we're going to apply this over top of the entirety of the pelt. Just like this. I'm going to tackle this in a couple of sections. So we're going to do this much of the Skeleton Horde. Like so. Then we're going to wash the brush, grab some Cygor Brown, And then, kind of, not that much, down the middle, we're going to apply the Cygor Brown. Like so. Wash the brush. Go back to some Skeleton Horde. And then just use this to kind of merge the colours together. Like that sort of thing. I'm going to do this across, well, all three of our pelts. So with that all done, we're then going to stick with the Skeleton Horde just for the moment. And we're going to apply this over top of all of the little teeth and our Wolfguard Battle Leader's hair and beard. With that all done, we're then going to take a small amount of Black Templar, not very much here at all. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to run a little stripe of this down the middle of the pelt. Like that sort of thing. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Cygor Brown. I'm going to use this to colour in the rest of our remaining leathers. So with that all done, we're then going to take some Imperial Fist. I'm going to apply this over top of the shoulders. So with that all done, we're now going to take some Fyreslayer Flesh. We're going to apply this over top of our battle leader's face. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Basilicanum Grey. We don't need very much of this at all. And we're going to apply this over top of these two little rune stones. There. There's another one on the shield. Like that. And then next up we're going to take some Flesh Tearer's Red. And we're going to apply this over top of this little cable tie down here on the scabbard of the knife. And we're going to apply this over top of the grips of all the weapons. And so with that all done, we're then going to take a roughly 4 parts Blood Angels Red to 2 parts Lahmian Medium. So it's basically a 2 parts Blood Angels Red to 1 part Lahmian Medium mix. And we're going to apply 2 layers of this over top of the cloak. So with that all done, we're then going to take some Targor Rageshade. We're going to apply this over the top of the... what's it called? It's kind of a Crux Terminatus, but it isn't. Wolfguard Battle Honour? And so with that all done, what we're now going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Retributor Armour. And we're going to apply this over top of, well, pretty much all of our kind of decorative and trimmy details across the entirety of the model. Just like that sort of thing. So we're looking for that area there that we've just done. Got the edge around the shield. We've got the what is basically an iron halo. We've got the whoa, that was close. Got the little skulls and things embossed upon the armour and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. And so with all that Retributor Armour applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Iron Warriors, and we're going to apply this over the top of all of the remaining details. So with that all done, it's now time to add some shades. And the first of these is going to be some Reikland Fleshshade. And we're going to apply this over top of the pelt. This is just to lock in the flavour, as it were, but also to just differentiate it from the hair. And the little teeth trophies. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Carroburg Crimson. And we're going to apply this over top of the Flesh Terror's red parts, but also over top of the gold. And so with that all done, we're then going to take some Nuln Oil and we're going to apply this over the top of the black on the shield and all the silver. So with that all done, our Wolfguard battle leader is now what I would call a Warhipster battle ready. He's looking pretty good. However, we're not going to leave it there. No, we're going to take it to the next level. We're going to do this by adding some layers and some highlights. And the first two of these is going to be a corrective layer. Now, as you can see, we've got some spotting here inside the cape, which we don't want. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some Mephiston Red and we're going to thin it down with roughly 3 or 4 parts water to create a sort of glaze consistency. I'm going to use this to just smooth out the cape. I realise I've called it a cape and a cloak in this video. Whoops. Either way, we're going to be using this over the top of this red cape. And what we're going to do is we're just going to avoid anywhere where the Blood Angel's red is really kind of settled in the deep recesses. There aren't that many of those on this one. It's a very kind of flat one. So with that cloak now all sorted, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Russ Grey and we're going to thin this down with roughly 3 or 4 parts water, and we're going to use this to glaze over the top of the armour. So with that all done, our two sections that had a little bit of a mistake thing going on, they're looking pretty good now. So before we go and highlight all of that armour, what we're going to do is we're going to take some Screaming Skull and we're going to gently dry brush this now over the top of the pelts. So with that all done, it's now time to begin the highlights proper. And what we're going to do first is we're going to take some thinned down Fenrisian Grey. I'm going to use this to highlight the armour. So with all that Fenrisian Grey applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Blue Horror. I'm going to use this to pick out the sharpest points in the armour. So we're looking for kind of like that little bit there of the gorget and the rivets and the corners. So with that all done, we're now going to move on because the armour is now finished. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some thinned down Evil Sunz Scarlet, and we're going to use this to highlight the cloak. And so with all that Evil Sunz Scarlet applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Fire Dragon Bright. We're going to use this to add some little spot highlights to the sharpest corners of our red cloak. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Gorthor Brown. I'm going to use this to highlight all of our brown leather. And so with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Dawnstone, and we're going to use this to highlight all of our black details. And this is going to include the claws, the pelts, as well as things like the kind of edges of the shield. But one thing we're also going to do here with the Dawnstone is we're going to use this to pick out our little rune stones. And so with all that Dawnstone applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Administratum Grey. We're going to use this to do two things. The first thing we're going to use this to do is to pick out the rivets and the sharp corners in our black details. However, the other thing we're going to do with the Administratum Grey is we're going to use this to relayer that doodad. So with that all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Corax White. I'm going to use this to highlight the shield. So with that all done, we're now going to take a teensy tiny little bit of Flayed One Flesh. I'm going to use this to highlight the face. And with that Flayed One Flesh applied, we then take a teensy tiny little bit of Black Legion. I'm going to use this to pick out his eyes. So with that Black Legion all applied, we then want to take a teensy tiny little dot of Screaming Skull, and we want to apply this in the corners of each of the eyes. However, the other thing we're going to do with the Screaming Skull is we're also going to use this to now highlight all of those little teeth trophies. We use this to pick out our Wolfguard battle leader's hair and beard and his teeth as well. So with that face and hair all done, we're now going to take some thinned down Liberator Gold. I'm going to use this to highlight all of the gold. And with all that Liberator Gold applied, we're then going to take some thinned down Ironbreaker, and we're going to use this to highlight all of our silver. And so with all that silver applied, we're then going to take some Blood Angels Red, and we're going to apply this over top of all of our gems. So with that all done, there's actually one thing that I've neglected for the entire video, and it's the yellow shoulder pads. Now, we don't have to do any highlights, and this is entirely optional, but if you want to punch them up and add a little bit of extra warmth in, or just correct some mistakes, what we want to do is we want to take some Uriel Yellow, and you want to thin it down with sort of 3 or 4 parts water, just like we did before on the cloak and on the armour, and just use this to glaze the yellow. Just like that sort of thing. And we're off. Space Wolves Army Set first tutorial. We have the Wolfguard Battle Leader all finished. And, well, I really love the new Space Wolves armor recipe. I think it's really, really efficient. Really, really, really cool. And it's very, very clean. Especially that Russ Grey glaze. Just ties the whole thing together. But we do have a quicker version of it coming for the troops. Don't you worry about that. If you enjoyed this video, you love the channel, and you'd like to support me further, you absolutely can do so by heading to patreon.com/warhipster, just like all of these wonderful, amazing people have done. And alternatively, you could become a YouTube channel member by clicking on the join button below, exactly like these fabulous folks have done scrolling up on the screen before you. There are so many of you out there that it really takes my breath away, and I cannot thank you enough for everything you do, as without you I wouldn't be able to keep making these Contrast Plus videos. And if you really like this video and you want to send me a little thanks, just click on the thanks button just below this video. Don't forget to share it, like it, comment on it, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and to make sure you stay up to date, don't forget to click the bell icon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Happy wargaming.